Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. He drops to one knee between the bar stools and my drink. I hear someone gasp behind me and the music stutters. I stare down and my first thought is actually this stupid thing. No way. This cannot be real. I'm Riley, 26, and I was sure it was a bit. A prank, a dare, something he cooked up to mess with me. Because this is my best friend crouched on the sticky floor. He looks up like I'm the only person in the room. I already feel my throat close before he even speaks. He pulls out a ring box with both hands shaking a little. My brain zooms in on that box and nothing else lands. People start turning on their stools and shifting near us. I hear a chair scrape, then another, like the room's circling. Phones come up and I still think any second he will grin. He says my name and it lands heavy in my chest. Not the casual version from late night jokes and memes. The full version, careful and slow, like he rehearsed it. His fingers fumble the box open and the ring flashes. My stomach flips so hard I feel slightly outside my body. You know that feeling when your system overloads and stalls? You know it should be deep and sweet and romantic. Instead, your brain throws up every wrong reaction at once. I feel heat rush up my neck and my palms go slick. All I want in that second is for everyone to look away. He keeps talking through my internal meltdown and I barely track it. I catch words like love and always and future and I flinch. The music fades into this weird muffled buzz in my ears. I see our friends near the corner with their mouths open. Someone lifts their phone higher and I feel my skin crawl. Part of me wants to grab his hand and pull him up. Tell him we can talk later, without strangers and cameras. Another part just freezes and stares at that open ring box. Those two parts fight and neither one wins fast enough. So nothing useful comes out of my mouth when I open it. I hear a nervous sound explode from my own throat. It starts like a cough, then breaks into this sharp laugh. Too loud, too bright, too wrong for the moment in front of me. People closest to us stop smiling at once and I see it. The way their faces twist from soft to shocked in one beat. He pauses mid-sentence with his mouth still half open. His eyes flick up to mine like he misheard that noise. I choke on another little giggle because panic doubles. My body thinks this is danger and picks the worst reaction. He is still on his knee and now I am the only one laughing. I slap a hand over my mouth and that makes it worse. It looks like I am trying not to laugh harder, not stop. My shoulders shake and I can feel tears jump to my eyes. They are not happy tears and not even sad yet, just raw. He closes his mouth and the silence around us tightens. Someone near the bar tries to help with a forced cheer. Say yes, they yell, like this is a game show we requested. That shout snaps him back into motion and he clears his throat. He repeats my name and asks the question all the way through. Will you marry me right here, right now in front of them? My mind hears every word and refuses to form a reply. You ever have that thing where your tongue feels like stone? I know this is serious, I know he is serious, I see it. But I also see the ring, the phones, the wide open faces. I feel trapped in a spotlight I never agreed to stand under. I let out another broken laugh and shake my head fast. Not a clear no, not a clear anything, just frantic motion. I hear myself say stop and oh my God and please get up. The words tumble out in the same stupid breathless tone. Nothing about my voice sounds like the grown adult I am. He does not move at first, like he thinks I am still kidding. His jaw tightens and his hand grips the box a little harder. He searches my face for some hidden yes he can rescue. All he finds is my frozen half smile and red eyes and twitchy hands. I watch the belief drain out of him in real time and it hurts. He finally rises and the room seems to exhale with him. The cheer never comes because everyone now knows the answer. He snaps the box shut with a small click that feels huge. The sound cuts through the music that just came back up. I will hear that click later in my head on loop. I reach out and catch his wrist before he can step away. Wait, I say, but my voice sounds thin under the bar noise. He looks at my fingers on his skin, then at my face again. There is this mix of shock and humiliation and something worse. He pulls his arm back like my touch burns and my chest drops. I start babbling that I did not mean it like that just now. That the crowd freaked me out and I panicked and locked up. I try to shape the mess into something that sounds sane. The words fall over each other and none of them stick. His expression does not soften, it just shuts down more. He says he understands in this flat, careful tone that hurts more. He says it is fine and not a big deal and he gets it. Everything about his face screams that it is absolutely not fine. He nods once like we just finished a business meeting, then turns. The ring box disappears into his pocket as he shoulders past strangers. People step aside and stare at him, then swivel toward me. I feel their eyes travel up and down like a quiet judgment. A couple near the door shakes their heads and looks away. One woman mouths wow to her friend and my stomach flips. I suddenly want to vanish into the floor more than anything. My friends hover in this confused circle and no one moves first. One of them starts toward me then stops and watches the door. I cannot tell if I want them to hug me or yell at me. Everything in my brain buzzes and nothing feels real yet. The only clear thought I have is I messed up something huge. I push through bodies and follow the path he took to the exit. The air outside hits my face and cools the heat in my cheeks. I glance up and down the street and do not see him anywhere. He walked faster left before I even started moving. That distance between us feels bigger than the whole city in that moment. Behind me, the bar door opens and sound spills out again. Laughter, clinking glass, someone shouting that they got the whole thing. I hear the words video and post and send it to me. I stand frozen on the sidewalk with my heart hammering hard. I still do not know yet that my worst moment is about to go online. My phone buzzes before I even turn the key in my door. One alert, then 5, then the screen lights up nonstop. I stand there in the hallway with my hand on the knob. Some part of me already knows what it is before I look. There is a link at the top from a number I barely recognize. Under it, a line of text with 3 burning emojis and my name. I tap the preview and the video fills my screen in an instant. The clip is titled in this smug way that makes my chest clamp. He is on his knee for 3 seconds before the sound kicks in. You can hear people cheering and one guy whistling near the mic. Then the camera swings closer and catches my twisted expression. The noise that comes from my mouth makes my spine go rigid. It is worse than I remembered from inside my own head. It is high and sharp and goes on just a little too long. The whole bar falls quiet in the video, so it echoes clearly. You can actually see his face fall in real time while I crack up. Comments already flood the bottom of the post while I watch. First ones are just laughing faces and people tagging friends. Then the longer ones appear with little lectures about kindness. A stranger types that I look heartless and my throat tightens. I scroll and see my first name spelled wrong in 3 different ways. They call him brave and adorable and call me shallow and cruel. Someone writes that if any girl did that to their brother, there would be consequences. I lock the screen and lean on my door because my knees feel weak. I finally go inside and drop my bag without turning on any lights. The phone keeps buzzing on the counter like a trapped insect. I flip it over and see new notifications from our friend group. Part of me wants to throw it in the sink and walk away. The latest message in the thread is just the same link again. Above it, a line from one of the guys asking if this is real. Another friend has already replied that they were there. A third has sent a single word in all caps that makes my stomach twist. I type out a long explanation and erase it in 10 seconds. Then I write something short about panic and surprise and delete that too. The typing bubble from one of the girls pops up and disappears. Everyone is present in the chat, and yet no one directly addresses me. Finally, a message lands from my closest friend in that circle. What happened, she asks, because he is not answering anyone. I stare at the question until my vision blurs around the edges. I send back I freaked out and I am sorry and it feels tiny. She leaves me on read for what feels like a full hour. During that pause, the video gains hundreds more views and reactions. My name starts to appear on other platforms that are not even local. The story shrinks into 4 words under every repost and burns. He got rejected. That is the whole narrative strangers pass around like gossip. No one writes about how long we know each other. No one mentions that we were supposed to be grabbing drinks like usual. I become the punchline in a story with no context at all. I click on his profile and see that he has not posted anything. His last update is from earlier that day about finishing a project. There is no response to the clip, no comment in any thread. What I do see is that he has removed his relationship status entirely. I try calling, even though my hands shake so much I almost drop the phone. It rings once, twice, then jumps to voicemail without his voice. Just the generic recording that does not sound like him at all. I hang up Biff. Or the tone because I cannot even leave a message. A new notification pops over the call screen from another mutual. They ask if the scene at the bar was staged for content. I stare at that word and feel this cold flush crawl over me. I realize some people truly think we planned this for views. I reply that it was not a skit, not a challenge, not anything like that. I tell them I messed up, that I reacted badly, that it is real. They react with a single stunned emoji and nothing else follows. That tiny yellow face feels like a verdict I cannot appeal. The friend thread pings again and I flick my eyes back to it. Someone writes that he left the chat a minute ago. His profile photo has vanished from the list at the top. It feels like a door slamming in a room I am still standing in. I open another thread we share with just a smaller circle. His name has already disappeared there too, and my chest tightens. I scroll up through months of memes and plans and stupid jokes. The last thing he wrote before tonight is a dumb line about wings. I almost type out remember when everything was simple and easy. Instead, I close the keyboard because it sounds pathetic even in my head. I know anything I send there now will sit unanswered. The silence on his side weighs more than all the noise online. My screen lights with a call from my sister before I can breathe. She does not even say hello, she launches straight into it. Did that really happen, she asks, because someone just sent me a clip. I hear her pacing through her apartment from the way her voice shakes. I try to tell her I got overwhelmed and my brain misfired. Words spill out about anxiety and not expecting it and feeling trapped. I hear myself stumbling and I would not believe me either. She exhales hard and asks if I realize how humiliated he must feel. That question hits harder than any anonymous comment on my feed. I picture his face in that video frame by frame. How he looks up at me with hope he thinks is safe. How that hope drains while my stupid laugh keeps rolling. I tell her I know and that I am not proud of myself. That part comes out clearer than everything else I have said tonight. For a second she softens and calls me by my old nickname. Then she asks what I am going to do about it, and my mind blanks. I open our last private chat and read through it like it belongs to strangers. There are messages from that afternoon about timing and drinks and nothing heavy. No hint that he is about to put a ring in front of me. I keep hoping for a line that proves I should have seen it coming. My fingers hover over the text box more than once. I want to write I did not say no and that it just came out wrong. I want to tell him I care about him enough to be terrified. I end up typing his name and erasing it 3 times instead. Outside my apartment window a car alarm blares for a moment then stops. Inside my head the sound of my own laughter from that clip stays loud. I replay the seconds where I could have bent down and lifted him. Every loop makes it look less like panic and more like cruelty. The video hits another milestone of views while I lie there staring. Somebody edits it with dramatic music and posts a shorter version. They slow down the part where my face twists and zoom in. My phone shakes in my hand and I finally set it face down. Even with the screen dark, I still feel it pulsing on the table. New alerts flash every few seconds in the corner of my eye. I tell myself I will not read one more comment tonight. Then I pick it back up again because I cannot look away from the wreck. Somewhere in that stream of strangers, a single message comes through from him. It is short and formal and uses my full first name. He writes that he needs space and asks me not to contact him. My thumb hovers over reply while the whole world keeps talking for us. I run straight into him at the building entrance on Monday. He pushes the door open just as I reach for the handle. We both freeze for half a second, close enough to feel it. He drops his gaze to the floor and steps around me without a word. I turn after him on reflex and call his name once. He keeps walking, shoulders tight, hands buried in his pockets. No flinch, no pause, nothing that admits we shared a life before. The revolving door spins between us like a barrier I helped build. Inside, our usual corner near the coffee station is occupied. Two coworkers from another department stand there whispering. One of them glances at me and then at their phone. I know exactly what plays on that screen and my spine stiffens. At my desk, our chat window sits near the top of the list. His last message from before the bar feels like it belongs to someone else. I hover over the input bar and watch my own cursor blink. That single blinking line feels louder than the whole office. By lunch, the first brave soul asks if we are still close. They lean on the edge of my workspace and pretend it is casual. I force a shrug and say we are taking a break from each other. It sounds like I am talking about a TV show, not a person. In the afternoon, I pass him in the hallway near the restrooms. He is joking quietly with one of the guys from our group. The second he sees me, the smile shuts off like a switch. He turns to the elevator and presses the button 3 times. The doors slide open and he steps inside without looking back. I halt a few feet away and stare at my own reflection. For a moment, I imagine following him into that small space. Then I remember his message about distance and stay put. Later that week, someone organizes trivia night in the group chat. The invite goes out to everyone, tagged loud insistent. I type that I might come and instantly delete it. I wait to see if he responds first because that decides everything. A full minute passes before his name pops up with a reply. He writes that he is down as long as the usual crowd comes. A friend jokes about leaving room for romance round questions. I watch the 3 dots appear under his name and then vanish. I end up going anyway because hiding forever is not a plan. When I walk into the place, our friends are already gathered. He sits at the middle of the table, back straight, eyes on the host. The empty chair that used to be mine is on the opposite side. One of the girls waves me over with an uncertain little smile. She pulls another chair from the next table and sets it down. The gap between me and him feels bigger than just a few seats. He does not look up, but I can see his jaw working. During the first round, I blurt out an answer and get it right. Our side cheers automatically out of habit for a shared win. He scribbles on the score sheet without acknowledging my voice. The separation inside the group settles in like new furniture. At one point, the host cracks a joke about proposals gone wrong. The table around us erupts in awkward laughter that dies quickly. My fingers lock around my glass so hard they ache. I stare at the trivia sheet until the letters blur together. On a break between rounds, one friend pulls me aside. We stand near the back wall where the music thumps. She asks how I am holding up, eyes darting toward him. Before I can answer, she says he is wrecked in a way she has never seen. She tells me he had been planning that night for a long time. That he talked about it with them for weeks before it happened. How he kept asking for opinions, changing little details, rehearsing lines. I swallow hard because I never saw any of that from where I stood. I start to defend myself, words tripping over each other again. I say I was blindsided, that I froze, that my head shorted out. She listens, arms folded across her chest, mouth pressed tight. Then she drops one sentence that knocks the air out of me. He really believed you would say yes this time. That phrase rings louder than the music and the chatter. I latch onto the last 2 words and they sting. This time means there were other times in his mind that I brushed off. Moments I probably laughed at or redirected like they were harmless. Back at the table, the seating has shifted slightly. He has angled his chair away so he does not face me directly. When he finally speaks to the group, his voice stays light. Every syllable carefully hops over my side of the table. After trivia ends, people start gathering their stuff to leave. Normally this is when he and I split a ride or grab late food. Tonight he moves fast toward the exit with 2 other friends. I step into his path without thinking, and he nearly collides with me. For a second, we are close enough to see every line under each eye. I open my mouth and nothing smart comes out. Can we talk? I manage, and it sounds fragile even to me. He exhales through his nose and looks past my shoulder. Not tonight. His answer is clipped, controlled, the opposite of the guy I know. My chest tightens, but I push one more question out. Are you okay? I ask, and instantly regret how small it sounds. He gives a short laugh with no humor in it at all. Do I look okay? His gaze finally locks on mine and holds it. For a moment I see all the hurt I tried to avoid facing. I feel my own defenses start to crumble under it. Before I find words, he steps around me and heads outside. The next day at work, our coworkers split into invisible camps. Some avoid the topic altogether and act overly cheerful around me. Others drop hints about how brave he was to put himself out there. Every comment digs deeper into this pit I am already sitting in. At lunch, I scroll through old photos on my phone. Pictures of us at concerts on couches in the middle of crowded rooms. In every frame, he is leaning toward me in some small way. I scroll faster, trying to spot the signs that feel obvious now. I think back to all the times he joked about us growing old together. How I laughed it off in two. I said back some sarcastic reply. To me, those lines were cozy, safe, part of our script. To him, they might have been trial balloons I kept popping. By the end of the week, he has muted every shared chat we have. He only shows up at gatherings when people confirm I will not be there. I hear this from a friend who slipped and then apologized too late. Apparently he uses that exact phrase every time he checks. Is she going to be there? Knowing he asks that before making plans hits in a new way. I am not just the one who laughed anymore, I am a factor to avoid. He builds his social calendar around my absence like I am a hazard. I start turning down invites so he does not have to ask at all. That is how he stops being my go-to person without saying more. Not with a dramatic speech or long thread, just a series of absences. Little skipped moments that pile up into something solid. By the time I notice the full shape of it, he is already gone from my daily life. I press his buzzer with a coffee in my hand and shaking fingers. The hallway is quiet enough that I hear my own pulse. For a second I hope he is not home so I can run. Then the intercom crackles and his voice comes through, flat. Who is it? My name sticks in my throat before I force it out. There is a pause long enough that I picture him walking away. Then the door unlocks with a harsh buzz that makes me jump. I push it open before he can change his mind and cut me off. On the stairs, I keep rehearsing the same apology in my head. Every version sounds weak once I imagine his face hearing it. I stare at the coffee and suddenly hate how small it looks. It feels like showing up to a fire with a paper cup. He opens his apartment door before I even reach it. He leans against the frame with his arms crossed tight. His eyes flick to the drink and back up to my face. You ignored my message, he says, voice low and tired. I know I answer and grip the cup so hard it bends. I ask if we can talk for a few minutes, just us. He studies me for a moment like he is weighing risk. Then he steps aside enough for me to enter and nothing more. Inside, I stay near the door like I might need to bolt. I hold out the coffee and my hand trembles a little. You usually get this before work, I mumble, hoping it lands. He takes it without thanks and sets it on the nearest surface. So, that one word hangs between us heavier than anything else. He keeps a careful distance like I might explode again. I pull in a breath that feels too thin and start talking. I tell him I am sorry, really sorry for what happened. His jaw works while I speak and he looks anywhere but me. I explain that my brain shorted out with everyone staring. That hearing people shout and seeing phones made me shut down. I say I laughed because I was terrified, not because it was funny. He lets out a sharp sound that is not quite a laugh. You know what I hear in that clip, he asks, finally looking. I shake my head once because I already kind of know. He answers anyway and the words land hard. I hear you enjoying the moment. That stings more than any online comment I have read. I rush to clarify that it was nervous, ugly, out of control. He lifts a hand to stop me, eyes suddenly bright with anger. You kept going, he says, you watched me fall apart and kept going. I start to protest, then close my mouth because he is right. From his side of that memory, I imagine it in slow detail. Him kneeling there in front of everyone, heart wide open. Me cracking up like I just heard a joke instead of a lifetime offer. He moves past me, pacing once across the room and back. Do you know who sent me that video first? He asks. I shake my head again because I genuinely have no idea. My cousin, he says, from a different state, before any of our friends. He pulls his phone from his pocket and waves it slightly. My family group chat lit up before I got home, he adds. They wanted to know what went wrong and if I was okay. I had to explain that my best friend laughed in my face. Hearing those words out loud makes my stomach clench hard. I try to say I never meant to humiliate him like that. That if it had been just us, I would have reacted differently. He snaps his gaze back to me at that and it sharpens. That is the point, he says, it was not just us. He gestures in the air like he can still see the crowd. I asked you something serious and you turned me into a clip. You helped them laugh at me and you were first in line. I step forward without thinking and then stop when he stiffens. My eyes burn and my voice comes out rougher than I want. I tell him I care about him, that I panicked, that I froze. I say I wanted to hit pause, but my body chose chaos. He studies me like he is trying to find any truth to hold. His shoulders drop a fraction and then lift again like he catches himself. You know what hurts the most? He asks, quieter now. I brace because I am not sure I can hear it, but I am. Id too. I trusted you not to make me small. That line slices through every excuse I have been clinging to. He goes on before I can patch myself together. I could have done that in private and spared myself the show. I thought doing it where we met would mean something to you. I whisper that it did mean something, just not like that. He laughs once without any warmth and drags a hand through his hair. In that case, we seriously misread each other, he says. Because all I saw on your face was disgust and disbelief. Hearing the word disgust hurts in a new way. I replay that instant, how my features twisted on camera. I realize he has watched that clip more times than I have. Every replay reinforcing the worst possible read of my reaction. I tell him that underneath the panic there was a yes. The word yes hangs there like a ghost between us. I admit I was terrified of losing what we already had. That the idea of marrying him scared me because it mattered. He blinks slowly, processing, then sets his phone down with care. So your solution was to laugh until I wished the floor opened, he says. I flinch because there is no angle that makes it sound better. I say I know I messed up badly, that I am not asking for a redo. Then what are you asking for, he asks, voice suddenly flat again. I swallow and feel my throat tighten as I try to answer. I tell him I am asking for him to believe I did not mean to hurt him. That I am asking for a chance to fix at least some part of this. He looks toward the door instead of at me while I talk. Finally he exhales, long, like he has been holding that air all month. I believe you were scared, he says. I do not believe you respect me. He looks back at me and there is no softness left in his eyes. You made me a joke in front of everyone we know. That sentence lands heavier than a direct insult ever would. I open my mouth and close it again because I have no defense. In that moment I see the night from his side in full. The kneeling, the ring, the crowd, my laughter slicing through all of it. He steps closer to the doorway and rests his hand on the knob. I get that you feel bad now, he says. I really do. But regret does not erase what everyone already watched happen. Every time I walk into a room, I wonder who recognizes me from that video. My chest feels tight enough that it hurts to breathe normally. I tell him I will do anything to make this right, anything at all. The words sound desperate even to my own ears because they are. He studies me one last time like he is deciding a sentence. You can start by giving me the space I asked for. My whole body goes cold, even though I knew this was coming. I nod because arguing would only prove his point about respect. I step back into the hall, feeling like I am leaving a crime scene. He opens the door wider for me to pass but stays carefully out of reach. When I cross the threshold, I turn, hoping for some sign. Maybe a look that says this is temporary, not final. Instead, he avoids my eyes and focuses on the floor instead. Take care of yourself, he murmurs like we are acquaintances. The door closes with a soft click that still feels brutal. I stand there staring at the wood grain like it might open again. My hand lifts halfway to knock and then drops uselessly to my side. I realize pushing any more right now would just prove him right about me. On the ride down, every floor feels like another layer of loss. I lean against the wall and finally let the tears spill over. Under all the guilt and shame, one clear thought surfaces. If I ever get another chance to answer that question, I will say yes before fear even breathes. You know he turned down that position because of you. The words drop right in the middle of game night. Cards in my hand stop halfway to the table. Everyone else keeps talking over a rule dispute near the counter. Only my friend across from me notices my face go stiff. I blink and ask what she is talking about very slowly. She realizes what she said and her eyes go wide. Nothing, she tries, already shuffling the deck too fast. My pulse starts pounding in my ears because I know it is not nothing. What position? My voice comes out lower than I intend. She glances toward the door like he might walk in. He didn't tell you about the offer out of state. I stare at her until she stops pretending to rearrange the cards. She explains he got an offer a few months back. Better money, fancy title, big step forward, all of that. He told them no after a week, she adds, watching me closely. He said he didn't want to leave you behind for some paycheck. I sit back so hard my chair scrapes against the floor. The others look over, then go back to their snacks and arguments. Game nights look the same on the surface, but nothing feels normal. Now I find out there was a whole life he walked away from. How do you even know that? My throat feels tight. She says they all heard a boo. See it at trivia one night. This was before the proposal, in the middle of planning. He was all in, Riley, she mutters, then bites her tongue. That phrase hits me right in the center of my chest. I ask if he turned it down before he bought the ring. She nods once, very small, like she wishes she could undo it. He said there was no point chasing some promotion without you. My palms go cold while my face burns hot. I remember complaining about being stuck in the same city. He listened quietly and joked about us being old regulars someday. Meanwhile, in his head, he had already chosen here over everything. I didn't know, the words sound weak even to me. She shrugs, eyes dropping to the table, shuffling again. Yeah, he thought you'd freak if he mentioned future stuff explicitly. She winces as soon as the last part slips out. I ask what else he told them because now I need all of it. If I am going to hate myself, I want accurate reasons. She hesitates, then pulls out her phone and scrolls fast. Don't freak at me, I'm just the messenger, she mutters. She shows me a message from weeks before the bar. It is in their side group without me in it. He wrote that he had to decline the offer because of us. Not just me, us, like we were already some fixed unit. He had typed that moving away right before proposing felt wrong. That asking me to marry him after leaving town would be selfish. He wanted to build something where our routines already lived. Reading his words makes the room spin even though I am sitting. I push the phone back to her with a shaking hand. Does my sister know about any of this? My voice cracks. She hesitates again in that guilty way I now recognize. You should probably call her, she answers, which is a yes. I leave early, blaming a headache that is suddenly very real. No one argues, they just mumble goodnight and pretend not to stare. Outside, the air hits my face and I finally breathe deeply. Every step home feels like walking towards some overdue punishment. My sister picks up on the second ring and sounds annoyed. You usually text first, she says, then hears my silence. What happened now? Her tone shifts from irritated to wary. I ask if we can talk about him without her hanging up. She lets out a long breath, the kind that says she is tired. Say what you need to say, she replies, papers rustling faintly. I ask straight out if she helped him with the ring. There is a pause, then a very quiet yeah. I sit down on the edge of my bed because my legs feel unsteady. How long were you two planning that behind my back? She corrects me fast, like that part matters. He planned it, I just helped with the part you wear. She tells me he showed up at her place one afternoon. He had screenshots of jewelry styles on his phone. Apparently, he knew I would overthink anything too flashy. He kept saying he wanted something you'd actually keep on, she adds. It feels surreal hearing about those visits for the first time now. I picture them together, heads bent over a small tray somewhere. My sister, who usually teases him, taking this seriously. All of it done because he was sure I would say yes. He also asked about timing, she continues, voice softer. He wanted to know when I seemed the least stressed. When work was calmer, when family drama was low. He was trying to pick a moment when life felt safe for me. My throat aches in that way that means tears are close. You never thought to tell me any of this earlier. She lets out a sharp sound that is half laugh, half scoff. Pretty sure that would ruin the actual surprise part, Riley. I rub my forehead and wish I could peel back the last month. Why the bar though, I ask, why not somewhere quiet? She goes quiet for a second, then explains. He told me that place is where you first called him your person. I shut my eyes because that detail is a punch in the gut. I barely remember saying it, probably after too many drinks. He remembered it clear enough to build his whole plan around it. Meanwhile, I remembered it enough to turn him into a public disaster. She keeps talking, probably because she finally has an audience. He showed her screenshots of different setups he considered. Private dinner, road trip, some park I like, even his living room. He chose the bar because he thought it was your happy place. That phrase makes me want to throw my phone across the room. Happy place, I turned his version of happy into a cautionary tale. I ask if she hated me that night when she saw the video. There's a long silence that basically answers before she does. I was furious, she admits finally, voice tight. I knew how long he'd been saving and planning all that. She lists the extra shifts he picked up over the last year. The weekends he skipped going out because he was cutting back. Every new piece lands like another brick in this wall of guilt. I remember inviting him out and him saw. Ying, he was tired. I joked that he was turning old and boring fast. Turns out he was out there stacking money for a ring on my finger. I ask if he told her about the job offer too. She confirms without hesitating this time. He said moving away would make you think he cared less. So he stayed and bet everything on a moment I wrecked. For the first time since that night, I stopped defending myself out loud. I sit there listening to the story from their angle. From his angle, I am not just someone who laughed wrong. I am someone he rearranged his life for, who treated it like a joke. My sister's voice softens in a way that scares me more. He really loved you, you know that, right? I let out a shaky breath because hearing it past tense hurts. I ask if she thinks I ever get another chance with him. She hesitates so long I check if the call dropped. I honestly don't know, she answers, honest and blunt. He was shattered, Riley, and not just because you said no. That last part stings because technically I never actually answered. We hang up after she tells me she needs to log back into work. I stare at the call screen long after it goes dark. There is this new understanding sitting heavy in my chest. I did not just embarrass someone, I crushed a whole future he built. Back then I still did not know the worst part. That realization came later, in a way that blindsided me again. At this point, I just lay there replaying everything with new context. Every memory now carries a weight I never saw while it was happening. He walks into the restaurant halfway through the birthday toast. I catch his reflection in the window first, then the real him. My fingers lock around my glass so hard the ice shifts. Every instinct screams at me to grab my bag and bolt. Instead, I stay seated and force myself to breathe slow. He stops at the end of the table while everyone cheers. Our friends pull him in with loud greetings and noisy hugs. I sink a little lower in my chair and hope no one notices. They notice. The girl whose birthday it is looks straight at me, then him. Her smile falters for a second, then stretches back in place. She pats the empty spot beside her and tells him to sit. He chooses the chair across from me, not next to anyone. Our eyes meet for the first time in months and hold. No video, no crowd, no ring, just a long, solid look. I feel heat rush up my neck and I refuse to look away. If I blink first, I know I will hate myself later. He nods once, small, almost polite, then looks at the menu. Everyone else starts talking at the same time to fill the gap. Questions about work, sports, random headlines, anything but us. Our whole history hangs over the table like a low ceiling. The server comes and goes, and somehow I order something. I have no idea what I picked, my brain is somewhere else. Half the table is watching us without trying to be obvious. I can feel their curiosity like heat on the side of my face. At one point, someone makes a joke about viral moments. The laughter around us is too quick, too forced, too sharp. My chest tightens, but I keep my expression steady this time. He stares down at his drink like he is listening underwater. The birthday girl cannot take it anymore and leans forward. So, she says, looking between us, are we being grown-ups tonight? Her voice is light, but her eyes are not joking at all. My pulse jumps because this is the push I knew was coming. I clear my throat and speak before I can lose my nerve. I'm fine talking, I say, and my voice does not crack. He glances up at me like he did not expect that. He studies my face for a second, then looks at our friend. Only if we don't do it here, he says, fingers tapping the table. The birthday girl raises both hands like she is surrendering. Out back, she suggests, there's a little patio thing. She is already reaching for the extra key the staff gave her. I push my chair back and stand, legs unsteady but moving. He gets up too, slower, like he is still debating the choice. We walk past the bar in silence, side by side but distant. Every step feels like walking toward a verdict I earned. The door to the patio clicks shut behind us with a soft thud. It is quieter out here, just a low hum from the street. He shoves his hands into his pockets and stares at the ground. For a moment neither of us speaks and the silence stretches. I decide I am done wasting chances and open my mouth. I'm not going to pretend it was just nerves, I start. His head tilts slightly, like he did not expect that angle. I was selfish and scared, and I made you look ridiculous. He lets out a slow breath but stays quiet, waiting. I've apologized before, I continue, but I dodge the worst part. I meet his eyes because I owe him that much at least. I cared more about not looking trapped than about your hearts. That lands, I can see it in the way his shoulders shift. For once I do not rush to soften it or fix it instantly. I let the truth sit there, ugly and honest, between us. If he walks away now, at least he hears the real version. You enjoyed being above it, he says finally, voice low. Like you were too clever to fall for something that serious. He is not yelling, which somehow makes it hit harder. You laughed like you were watching some Strangers Fail compilation. I wince because he is not wrong about how it looked. I've watched that clip enough to want to smash my phone, I admit. I hate that version of me more than you probably think. My hands are shaking now, so I shove them into my pockets too. He studies my face, looking for exaggeration or a lie. You still made the choice to show up there and act like that, he says. I know, I answer faster than I used to. I'll never pretend it was an accident again, it was a choice. Saying that out loud actually hurts, but in a clean way. I see something shift in his expression, lighter but still guarded. He looks out toward the street, jaw working as he thinks. When I dropped to one knee, I thought I knew you, he says. His voice wavers on the last word, just slightly. I thought I knew how you'd react, even if you said no. He lifts his shoulders and lets them fall in a tired motion. Turns out I didn't know you as well as I believed. I swallow hard because here comes the sharp part. You weren't wrong about me, I say, you were just early. He turns back toward me with a small frown, confused. I've been learning the difference between panic and disrespect, I add. For a long time I hid behind anxiety like it was a shield. If I got overwhelmed, whatever I did just became, oops, anxiety. I shrug, feeling stupid and exposed even as I speak. That night it wasn't just fear, it was arrogance, I own that. He exhales long, like he has been holding that air for months. I needed you to admit that more than I wanted another apology, he says. I know, I answer quietly, that's why I'm finally saying it. The patio light buzzes softly above us, filling the pause. He shifts his weight and glances back toward the restaurant door. They're probably placing bets on whether we scream or not, he mutters. A small, unwilling smile tugs at my mouth despite everything. Joke S on them, I say, I left the dramatic entrance at the bar. He almost smiles at that, then catches himself and looks away. I still can't even go near that place without feeling sick, he admits. My chest aches, but I force myself not to defend or explain. I get that, I reply, and I won't ask you to. Silence settles again, but it feels different now. Less like a wall, more like a space we might cross. I make myself say the thing I came here to say. If you asked me again anywhere, my answer would be yes. He goes very still, like even his breath stops for a second. I rush to clarify before he misunderstands the point. I'm not asking you to, I add, hands out slightly. I'm not expecting some romantic reset button out here. I step closer, just enough to show I am not backing off. I just need you to know that my feelings were never the problem, I say. I loved you that night too, I just loved my comfort more. The words taste awful and true on my tongue. He closes his eyes for a moment, like he is bracing. When he opens them, there is nothing soft or cruel, just tired honesty. I thought hearing that was all I wanted, he says. Turns out I also want a version of it from before the damage. That line stings, but it is fair. There is no before anymore, I say, voice steady. There's only you knowing exactly what I'm capable of now. And me knowing what it costs when I run from hard things. He huffs out a short breath that is almost a laugh. You always talked like you were the stable one, he says. I liked believing that, I reply. I liked hiding behind it. Underneath, I was just as afraid, I just dressed it up better. For the first time tonight, we are not talking about the clip. We are talking about the people inside it, both of us cracked. He leans back against the railing, shoulders relaxing a little. I miss my friend, he says softly, almost under his breath. I step beside him, not too close, not too far. I miss mine too, I answer, staring out at the street. I'm not asking for the proposal back, I know that's gone. I'm asking if there's any chance to earn the friend again. He thinks for a long time, long enough that my stomach knots. I keep my eyes forward and let him take whatever time he needs. If he says no, I will still hear it all the way this time. No jokes, no nervous laugh, just a clean, sharp answer. Friends don't humiliate each other in front of a room, he says. The words hit like a cold splash and I nod once. I know, I say, that's why I'm not asking you to pretend it never happened. I'm asking if you'd ever let me show you I'm not that person anymore. Hey. Turns his head to really look at me, not the clip version. His gaze runs over my face like he is checking for a lie. Finally, he lets out another breath and his shoulders drop a little. I don't trust you with my heart yet, he says, but I might trust you with a group chat. A laugh bursts out of me, quick and surprised, almost painful. It's not pretty, but it's real, and there is no mockery in it. I'll take that, I say, blinking back sudden tears. Group chat probation, that's more than I deserve, honestly. He shakes his head slightly, a tiny smile finally breaking through. This doesn't mean I'm over it, he warns, eyes still serious. I know, I reply, it just means you're willing to see if I actually grow. He nods once, like we have agreed on terms of a long contract. From inside, someone bangs on the glass and waves both arms. The birthday girl mouths get back in here with exaggerated urgency. Behind her, our friends pretend they were not spying every second. For the first time in a long time, their curiosity makes me grin. He pushes off the railing and reaches for the door handle. He pauses and glances sideways at me, like he is weighing something. No more surprises in public, he says, tone dry but firm. Deal, I answer instantly, anything important we do off camera. He opens the door and the noise from inside rushes out toward us. Before we step back into the crowded room, I touch his sleeve lightly. Just so you know, I add, voice low, if the question ever comes back around, I won't laugh. He holds my gaze for one long heartbeat, then nods and walks in. I follow him toward the table, toward the mess we made, toward whatever comes next. For once, I am not rehearsing an escape or a joke or a deflection. I am just walking beside him, aware of every step and every choice. And if there is a future where he kneels again, I know exactly what I will say.